Welcome to the Pursuit of Now podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Katrina.
And let the pursuit begin. And we're back.
Hi.
Episode number 3. And we are so excited for today's episode because we are talking about
Relationship stuff.
Yes. So we're going to be discussing the Four Horsemen of marriage today.
Yes, it's called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
a term coined by Dr. John Gottman.
Yes.
He is a researcher and he has a plethora of information out there if you want to look it up. But we're going to kind of dive into that today and try to learn and also explain how we understand it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because just so nobody misinterprets, kind of a disclaimer here, the intention of the podcast. So we know very well that we've only been married 6 months now.
Yeah, not even 6 months. It'll be 6 months on Christmas.
Yeah, 6 months on Christmas. So we are not trying to be experts on any of these topics that we're going to be talking about today, but really the point of this podcast is Trina and I are both learning and tackling these big topics together.
Yeah, and we knew this research was out there, and so we wanted to just be intentional about learning more about it so that we can hopefully avoid divorce.
Yeah, because we don't want that by any means. So more of preventative measures that we are learning, and we are so excited to have you all come along with us as we are figuring this stuff out and learning it together. But before we dive into that and a little bit more on what that topic's going to consist of, Trine had a great idea for an opening segment of our show. You want to talk about what that is?
Yeah, so this podcast is all about the pursuit of now. Okay, so it's about being present in the moment while you're trying to achieve all of these different things in different areas of your life. And so what better way to start off every episode than by naming something small that has brought us joy this week?
Yes.
So I thought it would be a good idea to start off every episode with that, just to kind of set the tone. And I also think it's honestly pretty therapeutic for us too, because it brings gratitude and it brings us into the present moment and, helps us grow some appreciation for those little things that, can go unappreciated sometimes. So because that's life. That's when life happens is in these small moments. So
yep. And I feel like, our name is the Pursuit of Now, and we're trying to kind of figure out as we go what that means and how we're going to work that into our podcast. And really the point is we are discussing these topics right here and now and being present and, pursuing learning and developing together. That's kind of the big thing with the podcast, but I think that this segment is perfect because it kind of reels it all in and it gets us off to a great start. So do you want to start first with what you're grateful for or thankful for, or what brought you joy?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Grateful, thankful, blessed.
Yeah.
My friends.
That should be on a sign. We should get that on a sign.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love.
Got to live, laugh, love.
Yeah, exactly. That too. We should definitely have all those things on signs.
Yeah, we're going to put that on sign. If you want to get a sign from the Pursuit of Now and it says what?
Live, laugh, love.
No, what was the first one?
Thankful, grateful, blessed.
Thankful. If you want a thankful, grateful, blessed sign, go to pursuitofnow.com and they're up there.
And don't hit us up because we will not be making that for you. Thank you.
No, probably not.
But anyways, okay, so my thing that brought me a small moment of joy, I can't talk, this week was we watched all 3 movies of the Pitch Perfect series.
Yes, we did.
It's kind of like low-key embarrassing to say out loud.
Listen, I don't care who you are. Those movies are great.
They are actually very funny.
They are so funny. I'm not even lying. So I don't care who knows it. They're good movies. Yeah. If you haven't watched them in a while, you should definitely go back and watch them.
Yeah, I love Anna Kendrick.
Yeah. And I just love the two reporters. The two reporters are hilarious.
Yeah, they really are.
I don't know the names of the characters in there.
I don't know either, but if you know, you know.
Yeah, it is so funny. So if you haven't seen it in a while, check it out. Trine didn't even know there was a third one.
I actually had never seen the third one before.
Yeah.
I don't think, anyways. And I hadn't seen the first one or the second one in like years.
Yes.
But like, go rewatch that. It gives you kind of the same feeling as watching the Twilight Saga. Big fan. Big fan. I wanted to say one more thing that brought me joy this week. So I work at an elementary school, and around this time, there's a lot of things going on for Christmas. And those kinds of like fun things have brought me joy. Specifically, I was a spelling bee judge this week.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to say that I'm kind of a prodigy because I won the spelling bee in 5th grade. Well, I won second place. Let's be clear. I didn't win. I spelled cauliflower with the K. But
what?
I was thinking this whole time when I was a judge and these kids were coming up and they were so nervous. I was thinking winning second place in the spelling bee is a core memory of mine. And so it was just...
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but...
What? Do you have a plaque or anything?
I don't think so. I don't think I have any proof or evidence, but...
Wow.
It was actually pretty cool to kind of reflect on that and remind myself that I'm a part of shaping these kids' core memories and things that will impact them. So that was cool.
Yeah, it definitely will. I remember doing the spelling bee, and I don't think I got out of the first round whenever I did mine. I wasn't very good at spelling.
That's okay.
I'm still not really very good at spelling or handwriting.
We're the perfect pair.
Sure. Yeah, but you're good at that, so I just leave. And I also feel like our spelling is getting so much worse because we don't really have to know how to spell a lot of things. Like we can like punch it in when we're texting like halfway right, and then it just corrects it.
Oh yeah, or we shorten every single word. Like we don't say podcast, we say the cast, or we say the pod. The pod.
Yep. This is pod day.
Yeah. We don't say let's get some breakfast. We say let's go get some break.
No, we've never said that. We don't refer to it.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. No, we've never actually said that. So, but no, I get the point. So,
sorry for lying on the podcast.
Yeah, please don't lie on the podcast.
But I will say that in general, we do shorten a lot of words, which is probably not helping with our spelling
or vocabulary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's stop this banter. Chase, what is your small moment?
I have a couple of them this week. The first one I wanted to give a shout out because we got our very first review.
Oh, yeah.
On the podcast. So we wanted to give a shout out. We both...
it doesn't have a name.
Yeah, it doesn't have a name, so I'm not sure who gave it, but it is our very first review, and we came across this. We figured out how to find some additional analytics and then came across this, and we were so thrilled. It made our entire night reading this, so I felt really grateful for this. They gave us 5 out of 5 stars, and they said, relatable and fun couple. This couple is very relatable. Highly recommend giving this a listen. Love finding podcasts that are up and coming. If I could give more stars, I would.
So shout out to you, mystery person.
Yes,
because you made us happy.
Yes, happy.
Actually, I don't want to reference that. I don't like that song. It's a song that goes, clap along if you feel.
Like
I actually hate that. I despise that song.
Do you hate it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a hater, but anyways, it made us happy.
Yeah, it really did. It completely coming across that. I'm so glad that we found it. Yeah, and all the support, and not even that, but so many people have had so many nice things to say and have reached out to us and said really nice things about the podcast. And so sincerely, thank you to everybody who takes the time to listen. We don't take that for granted. And thank you so much for the mystery reviewer. We appreciate that so much, and it definitely made our night 100%.
For sure.
Yeah. And also, I'm grateful for this new morning routine that we've kind of got started for the podcast. So that's been really exciting. I've grown to really look forward to Saturday is so much more. So we've
Saturdays sucked before. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they're such a drag. But no, we kind of established somewhat of a little routine on Saturdays now, and I've really grown to like it. So we wake up bright and early Saturday morning, and I'm usually like chomping at the bit because I'm excited. It's pod day, and we get up, kind of do a little bit of cleaning around here so the apartment looks good, and then of course we go get some coffee.
Oh yeah.
Which is always great. And for those of you all who are fans of the podcast, you already know your boy, Team White Mocha, latte for life.
Hashtag White Mocha Gang.
Yeah, White Mocha Gang. Trine, what'd you get today?
I got a French toast latte. I have no idea what they put in here. It has cinnamon.
Yeah, it's a lot of cinnamon. But and one question that we've been repeatedly getting, like, phones have been blowing up this whole entire week.
Inbox flooded.
It's crazy. Yeah, our DMs have just been filling up. Everybody's wanting to know, Chase, how do I become a part of Team White Mocha? Like, how can I get into this? You know, and they're just dying for some answers. So I figured I would put some stipulations.
Okay.
That, you know, to get us into Team White Mocha, to address all of those millions of questions that we've been getting. And I've decided that there's going to be 3 steps.
Okay.
Only 3.
Criteria, if you will.
Only 3. It's so simple.
Okay.
Literally anybody can do it besides Trine. So, because this is my team. If you want a team, you do whatever you got.
Okay, I'll have to brainstorm my team, but
yeah, but this is my team.
Okay, go ahead.
So, step number 1 is the most obvious one of all the steps. You gotta love white mochas. Gotta love white mocha lattes. I thought it through, and even if you do like them iced, I think that's okay. I mean, you know, there's probably gonna be separate layers on our team, like team A, like A team,
Okay.
B team. If you like iced white mochas, you're probably gonna be more B team. Just gonna be honest, but
Maybe
you
like
know,
a subgroup.
Yeah, subgroup. Like, we'll still invite you to our outings and stuff, and when we all get together and hang out and drink white mocha lattes together. But white mocha's hot. That's gonna be the A team for sure.
Okay.
So that's the first step.
Iced white mocha people, you're sitting on the bench. Sorry.
Yeah, you're kind of bench, and I'm, you know, I didn't make the rules. I'm just abiding by them.
Yeah.
But number 2, whatever Trine is drinking for coffee, you now hate that drink.
Okay. Hater.
Yeah. So whatever brown shaken shaken espresso.
Okay.
And also, can we just say something? Starbucks, I need to have a word with you. Why can't they just make simple drink names so I don't look like an idiot in the Starbucks drive-thru every single time we're in there? Because I can't say
You've been getting better.
Brown shaken espresso.
It's really not that hard. I just feel like you don't want to learn how to say it. Brown sugar, just brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
Shaken.
Shaken.
Not stirred.
Brown sugar, shaken, not stirred.
Espresso.
Brown shaken espresso, stirred.
Brown sugar, shaken espresso.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Stirred up in a cup.
That's what I said. So Starbucks, fix your names. Because I'm tired of it. Seriously. And that goes for all of us men out there. Because you already know that every single time our women are like, hey, I want this complicated drink. And then we mess it up when we're trying to repeat it. And so Starbucks, get that fixed for us.
I think you should start like a support group for that.
Yeah, no, Team White Mocha, that's going to be our first event. We're going to make signs, and we're going to go out in front of Starbucks and let them know. So just be ready for that, Team White Mocha. But again, you do have to meet the 3 requirements. Requirement 2, whatever Trine's drinking, we hate that drink. Anyways, number 3, no offense, obviously.
No offense.
Yeah, if you say no offense, it's no offense to anybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that doesn't... Okay. That's
yeah, so you just have to say that, and then no one's offended. And then number 3 is you have to go like and follow the podcast on all platforms, including TikTok, Instagram. You got to hit the notification bell so you can always be notified when we drop an episode, which is on every
Sunday.
By
the way, I did not know what a notification bell was. So I just learned that, but there is a notification bell. That is a real thing.
Yeah, and you can't, and I'm not allowed to say ring the notification bell because Trine did not like that.
I said it was a bit cringy, but I will say that there is indeed something called a notification bell, and you can indeed ring it if you want to, so you don't forget. Every Sunday, we're going to be throwing down on the pod, baby.
Yeah, we're going to be throwing down. We're going to drop new episodes every single Sunday, so don't miss one. Go ahead and ring that notification bell. And then once you do that, guess what?
What?
You're on Team White Mocha Latte.
All right.
Team WML.
I'm not
You're
on that
it
team,
officially.
though.
No, not Trine, though. Trine's not on that team.
We're talking about marriage, and we're on different teams. I'm kind of concerned.
Great start.
But hey, I was going to say, I actually forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, that happens to me a lot. I was going to say we got over 100 plays. That's something that we've been really stoked about.
Yeah. So very excited. I was expecting in the first podcast, I think I said like I would be stoked if we had 5.
Yeah.
So I was genuinely thinking about that. So, no, again, I know I've said this 1,000 times, but thank you so much for the listens and the support. We don't take that for granted at all. So thank you all.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and hopefully we're going to just keep it moving.
Yeah.
So let's dive in a little bit more into what we're talking about today in regards to relationships. We got our disclaimer out there so everybody knows what our attempt is here. And we are really excited. And a big reason we wanted to discuss relationships, and honestly, I've been kind of fascinated with learning about this stuff. And even when we were doing premarital counseling, like I really enjoyed premarital counseling.
It was so great. So if you're thinking about it and you're kind of up in the air about it, please do it.
Yeah.
We had a great experience.
We really did, and I found it so beneficial.
Yeah.
For the both of us, because we were just talking through different things that we weren't really thinking, or you don't think about, or just having a third, party's perspective on things that can kind of help.
Right. Exactly.
Guide you through that conversation.
Exactly. And also, I think that, sometimes it is a little scary because you're about to get married and now you're going to sit down and you're going to bring up all of these things that either are currently like bubbling issues or could potentially be issues in the future. And that's really scary because you're like, well, I don't want to like bring it up because then I'll have to admit that there's something there that needs to be worked on. But that, my friends, is not the mindset to have, because it's kind of like with physical or mental health, you have to diagnose before you treat, right? You have to know what the issue is so that you can be intentional about correcting that and knowing what to, look for. So that's what I'm saying. You have to recognize what issues might be occurring so that you can, quote unquote, treat it and, give attention to it so that it doesn't become a bigger problem in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's tough to be vulnerable in those types of situations. I know, especially for men, I know that that's a huge issue, is like talking about something that you're struggling with mentally or in your relationship. And I know that communication can be very difficult. But I kind of just jumped in feet first conversation that we had. And I was all the way in. I was like, I'm just going to open up with it. I'm going to be honest and vulnerable. And I think that it really benefited the both of us for that reason.
Yeah.
But this topic today, and when we were going through that, Trine was teaching me about this because I know you went through this in school, right? During your master's program?
No, not during my master's. It was actually my undergrad. I needed an extra elective, and so I took this class. I'm pretty sure it was called Intro to Marriage, and it was actually hilarious at the time because I was like kind of far out from marriage. Like I wasn't. We were together when I took this class, but it was also like, LOL, I don't need to know this, but like all of a sudden I do. So I remember, Yeah, so I remember learning about John Gottman's research, and that's what our topic is going to be about today. We're just going to kind of talk through what he termed the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So those are basically four different communication patterns that John Gottman, within his research, identified, and they are, the predictors of a couple not lasting or getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about what those four communication patterns are.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try to explain it and also like figure it out kind of as we're talking. We did a little bit of background research and just what we know about it already. However, we wanted this to be very like genuine of like, we're literally trying to like identify this within our relationship too.
Yeah.
So it might just bear with us. We're just learning over here.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is about this research in particular is he was able to predict divorce up to 90% accuracy.
Yeah.
Just based on the four things that we're going to be talking about today. And a lot of it is pretty, common sense for the most part, but 100% I think reflecting on this stuff is super helpful.
Yeah. And it's common sense, but it's not. I feel like in a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects of your life, a lot of things are common sense, but that doesn't mean that they're easy.
Yeah. Common sense isn't so common sometimes, especially because I feel like a lot of this is even subconscious. Like you're not
totally is.
Like you're not even thinking that you're doing this. So sometimes hearing it, or kind of as we're walking through some of these things, and then you're like, wow. Like, and I kind of did that too. As I was looking into this, I was like, wow, I think maybe I have an issue, with this one, with this horseman, or whatever the case is. And I think just hearing it and discussing it, you kind of can figure out where your faults are maybe, and some things that you can work on. So
yeah, for sure. So Chase, do you want to start off with what the first communication pattern that we want to avoid? Oh, wait, before we start, I did also want to say that I just kind of want to normalize these four things, because, and it does say that even if you do these things, everybody does these things, right?
yes,
It depends on the frequency, the intensity, and whether or not you're willing to be intentional about changing some of these patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one in particular is a little more extreme, the single number one predictor of divorce. Okay, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we're going to get into that later.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah, but we're both really fascinated, and I didn't really get to fully dive into this because I think we got off topic, but I think we're both really passionate about talking about this stuff and discussing it, because we've also, in our lifetimes, I grew up in a divorce household and things like that. So, we've seen not great relationships in our life, but we've also seen some really great relationships in our life. Like my grandparents were married for 50 plus years.
Yeah.
So were yours.
Yeah. So are mine.
Yeah.
So I think that we have seen some like really good examples of what a long lasting healthy marriage can look like. But we've also seen the opposite of that. And I think even like growing up, Chase, you told me this before, but you're really big on, you've always wanted a healthy, like long lasting marriage.
Yep.
And so have I. So I think both of us have always like individually wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just recently going into a marriage together, I think that we're both really committed to learning and being vulnerable about these kinds of things. It can be really hard to admit your faults sometimes, but I think that is one of the biggest things that people don't want to do. They don't want to admit that they're wrong. They don't want to be vulnerable. And
it's difficult.
That is when you can get into trouble. And that's just what I know so far, right? Like, that's just what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And our marriage isn't perfect. No one's is, but But yeah, that's why we're talking about this. So
Yeah. So anyways, before we get too sad, let's get into topic number 1. I feel like some of these topics are so like deep.
I love deep topics.
I know, and I love to tackle them in there, but we also want to keep it.
We don't want to put
light
you
to
and
sleep.
fluffy.
Yeah, we don't want to
like
put you to sleep.
marshmallow fluff.
Yeah, hopefully we don't put you to sleep with this, but this is really important, so I think you'll find a lot of value in it.
For sure.
So the first pattern, the first indicator, is criticism. Okay.
Chase, what is criticism?
You want to learn what criticism is?
I do.
You want me to go
Tell
into
me all about it.
Okay, well, don't mind if I do. So what criticism is whenever you are tackling that person's character.
Attacking.
Yeah.
You said tackling.
Did I say tackling?
No,
I didn't.
You said tackling like a football player.
Are you serious? Okay. Well, not tackling, but you are attacking that person's character. Or there's another word too. What is it? Let me look at it. Or personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is very different from just a complaint. But a complaint is more along the lines of, hey, like I don't appreciate when you do this
XYZ,
or XYZ. This is more of attacking, and the language that is most commonly used when we're looking at attacking is statements that start with you.
Yes.
So do you want to role play real quick?
Kind of putting me on the spot, but sure.
Yeah, no, I got this.
Okay.
I got this. Now, keep in mind, this is totally just a role play, and it doesn't mean anything. It's not even relevant.
Okay.
Okay,
Glad.
So totally just a role play.
All right.
I don't even mean anything.
It's like I'm going to take it personally or something.
No, yeah, you're
it's like
not
I do
to.
that a lot.
Yeah, so this is strictly just for example's sake.
Okay.
Okay?
Glad we figured that one out.
Yep, it's just putting that out there. You literally don't know how to close cabinets or turn off lights. Like you don't do it, and do you not know how? Like, what is going on here?
Okay. That's interesting.
So that had nothing to do with anything, just so you know, just role play.
Okay. No, that's not, there's not a hidden message in there or anything. But
No, not at all. But just for role play.
I think that what you just said there, if you said it, if you reframed it, I can't talk. If you reframed it in a different way, it would be more of a complaint, right? But the fact that you said, do you not know how?
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of the second Horseman, contempt.
Oh, that goes into the second one?
I think it can be both.
Yeah.
Right? And again, Chase and I are trying to like figure out like exactly which is which. But I think that it could kind of be both, but
yeah, and even the first start of it was maybe more criticism. Like I'm
for
like,
sure.
You don't do this.
Yes.
You don't know how to do this.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Sure.
It's a little bit more of a softer attack, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And contempt is more of a like I'm trying to insult you.
Yeah.
Like psychologically, which that's kind of the next one. But you can reframe that in a way to where it can be better used in your relationship, and that is by changing it to I statements. Right? That's what we learned. So I'm trying to think of how I can reframe this. It'd be something along the lines of like, I don't appreciate when you leave the cabinets open, or you don't turn the lights off. Because I feel like that's going to, increase our electric bill or something ridiculous like that. I don't know. I can't think about it. But reframed it in more of an I statement and not like attacking using you and you never do this and you never this. And that's just a better way to communicate.
For sure. And like going off of that with the I statement, I think that something that's really helpful like after the I statement, so you let your partner know how you feel, right? Like, hey, I don't appreciate that. And you could even name the feeling, like, it makes me really anxious because everything looks like it's everywhere, right? And then as far as like the cabinets go.
Yeah, and I also have to exude more energy myself because then I go close the cabinets.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then you can follow with, and this is just like a really small, like, dumb example, but you could follow with some like validating something about where that behavior might be coming from your partner. So you could be like, hey, like, I really don't appreciate that. It makes me feel anxious, blah, blah, blah. And then you could be like, I understand why you're probably doing it. You're like in a rush, or you are forgetful sometimes.
Or maybe you don't know how to close cabinets, and we have a learning opportunity.
Reteach, baby.
Yeah, because it is the same motion from almost like, you know, you're pulling it one way and then it's just a push.
For sure.
To put it back in. So it could be just a learning. And again, this is not even real life oriented.
No, not real life at all.
No, this is strictly example.
So something else about criticism, just to keep the ball rolling here, is I think that for me, when I'm trying to learn about this, it reminds me of like always and never statements. So if you are trying to voice a complaint to your partner, but then you turn it into saying, you always forget to do this, or you never help me with this, that is now attacking your partner's character, because you're making the assumption that you never help me with this, like you don't care.
Yeah, you're putting like a label on your partner almost.
Yeah, and when
like
you say
you never do that, like you're, you know,
yeah.
It's more of like labeling something on your partner. Right,
and then it doesn't leave room for the grateful moments of when they do those things. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know they talked about another antidote to criticism is appreciation, obviously. So spending more time, and I think even for me, I think I struggle to do that enough in our relationship, and that's something that I need to work on, is showing more appreciation. And I think we've gotten better about that kind of as time has gone on.
Yeah, because same here.
Just saying, and I noticed that with you too, like after I do something or I do the dishes or whatever the case is, I notice that you take a lot more time to say, hey, thank you so much, like recognize it. Hey, thank you for doing that. Like, I appreciate it. Or, you know, if you come home or something and I've made dinner, then you're super appreciative of that. And so I think that has been super helpful for criticism, but
for sure. And I really do appreciate those things. And I feel like I'm low-key trying to trick you into keeping doing them.
Yeah, a little positive reinforcement.
Yeah. It's literally what we do with kids at school.
Yeah.
You point out the thing. But it really, I mean, it does go a long way, like all jokes aside. Because I also am doing it because I know how I feel when you notice something. And so I want to give that same like feedback to you, because it does make a world's difference when I come home and like dinner's done. Or when I come home and like the dishes are done. I'm like, in my head, I was already thinking about all of those things on my way home from work. And so to come home and then be done, I'm like, ooh, I have like 45 extra minutes. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think too, that, and I want to have a conversation sometime around like knowing like which roles you take and which roles I take, because I think that's kind of important to have a conversation around, and that kind of leads to just being more appreciative of that, and not even just assuming like, hey, this is your role to do this, or you're supposed to do this, or whatever the case is, but just knowing like, you know, what each other
expect
from the other person. That's something we went over in premarital counseling that I think is really valuable, and maybe that can be a conversation for a whole different podcast. Would be a whole different pod. We'll be talking more about that, but I think even though it sort of can become an expectation of like what you're supposed to do, like, oh, I take out the trash or whatever the case is, even just taking time to appreciate some of those things, that can definitely help. And that all ties into obviously not criticizing your partner or, you know, attacking them, their character in any way.
Yeah, for sure. And going off of just kind of identifying and having a conversation with your partner about who's going to do what, that is something we talked about in premarital counseling. That was really helpful.
And the neat thing was too, in the exercise, like we discussed like what we saw growing up. Yeah. And did we expect the same thing?
Right.
Like,
because that happens a lot. Yeah. Based on how you're raised.
Yeah.
You see a, you know, mother figure or a father figure doing XYZ. You kind of just grow up thinking that, oh, that's how every family works, right? That's what
how it's
you
supposed
saw
to be,
too, right?
Like, oh, dad works all day, he comes home, he sits on the couch, mom makes dinner, cooks, cleans, does all of that. And so, you could come into your relationship thinking that
that's going to happen.
that's the same thing. That's how it works in our household. And maybe your spouse thinks something different. And so I thought that was a really unique exercise.
Right. And what I appreciate about you, Chase, is that you don't assume all of that for me because we're both working, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And really, I think relationship dynamics have changed.
For sure.
So much. 'Cause,
for sure.
Now in majority of households,
it's split.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
You both have to work, especially with how expensive things are.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation is up 8.1% from last year, which is absolutely crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah. So it's only getting worse from here. But we're going to talk about finances sometime. That'll be next week.
Oh, yeah. That will be next week.
That'll be next.
Spoiler alert.
Little snippet
alert.
in there.
What movie is that when they go, spoiler alert? Spoiler alert.
I don't know.
All right. Anyways, if anybody knows that.
If anybody knows that, comment or send us DM.
Let me know.
We can figure that out. Number 2 is
contempt. Okay, I have a funny story about this first.
Oh, okay. You're holding my hand. Is this going to be bad?
No, it's... I think it's just cute, so I held your hand.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, okay, so whenever... Chase and I have this little joke going on that whenever, like, one of us says something, we just counter back with contempt.
Yeah, that's kind of how, yeah.
And
we
it's
just
not
call
like,
it out.
It's not just like, it's not like serious. It's like little things. It's like a joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know a good example because it's not actually like we're doing the communication pattern of a contempt necessarily.
Yeah, it can be anything small.
Literally,
like just anything
stupid.
The most ridiculous thing
We're
ever.
like, contempt.
Yeah, because one thing that I've learned about myself, because like I love learning about psychology, and obviously you have your master's degree and you're licensed in social work, so you know a lot about this stuff. But one thing that I've found is that the way that I handle my emotions is through humor.
Oh,
Could you ever put that
say.
together? Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was funny because I was watching that Jonah Hill documentary.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Stut. I don't want to say that wrong, but I think it's Stuts or Struts or, and he's talking with his therapist, and like he said a quote. He was like, "Yeah, I suffer from the same disease, which is whenever I have to start talking about my emotions, I make a joke of it."
Mm-hmm.
And I just related to that so much because I was like, I'm totally the same way. Like,
for sure.
And even like in times where you and I might have some banter back and forth over something dumb, like going grocery shopping, like I find that I break that up with like humor or try to make a joke of it, or just be like, like I hate you or something, like just dumb.
That's healthy.
And then Trine just yell. Yeah, that's the perfect way to handle relationships if you want. But
just stop in the middle of your discussion and say, I hate you.
Yeah, but you got to say it in a tone that's like funny so you don't take it seriously.
Okay.
But I think you know me well enough at this point to know I'm very sarcastic, and most of the time I'm trying to make a joke of things, which is also not great because sometimes it requires being serious. Sometimes you need to be serious, and I'm definitely more not serious about it. I
have been known to say that Chase is not serious at all.
No, I'm not very serious.
But I will say, like, that is something that I've grown to appreciate because I'm the opposite. Look, I like to joke around too. And I do make jokes.
Yeah, you're also funny. You're the second funniest person in the household.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable, but when it comes to Chase and I'm not uncomfortable, so I'm not making jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very deep with my thinking, and I read into things, and I create meaning from something that maybe doesn't have any meaning, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do feel like sometimes you kind of help balance that side of me out with making jokes about it.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah. Hey, anything I can do to help.
Anyways, All right, let's get into contempt, okay? Because we use it as a joke around here. Might help you in your marriage. I don't know, but
Maybe.
What is contempt?
Oh, you want me to give the definition again? Because I screwed up the last one. So let's get. We're gonna get it right, and we're gonna get the second one right. Here we go. Contempt. It assumes superiority
over your partner,
and it is very intentional, and it's much bigger than criticism. It's literally like, I'm trying to insult you.
Right.
Like, my goal is to psychologically abuse you.
Right.
With my statement.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that assumes superiority piece. It's kind of like I'm so much better than you. People can use sarcasm when they do it. Like, yeah, because you don't know how to do that, right? Because you don't know how to do anything. Like, that's like a good example.
Or like, oh, every time you come home, you just want to sit there and play your stupid game, and you're so lazy. You don't want to help around the house or something like that. Like, that's contempt. Like, you are trying to insult them. Yeah. Psychologically.
Contempt is like straight up mean.
Yeah, you're just being mean. Yeah.
And I mean,
do you want to throw some contempt at me right now?
Not really.
This is your free shot. Come on.
All right.
Lay it on me.
You suck.
Ow. My gosh. Jeez. Okay. You didn't have to just rip my heart out of my chest.
Yeah.
You didn't even say before you said that, like, with all due respect.
Oh, or no offense.
Or no offense. Like, you didn't say any of that.
Yeah.
You just attacked me without giving that pre-warning.
I attacked your whole being. Okay,
okay, this is going great. Love this.
Okay, but seriously, this horseman is the number one biggest predictor of divorce.
Yeah. So like a relationship breakdown.
Right. Like the other 3 communication patterns that we're going to talk about, you know, those are pretty common and can be fixed. And I mean, I think if you've ever made a contempt sort of statement, it doesn't mean that you're going to get divorced right off the bat. Yeah. But
because we all have.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Specifically, this is like the biggest, like, if you're going to get anything from this, like, you might just think, oh, words don't matter. I just said it and then I apologize and it's fine. But over time, this sort of thing builds up, these contempt-like statements, and it leads to these other 3 horsemen. And like any habit, it starts picking up and the frequency increases. And like I was saying earlier, the intensity of what you're saying. Yeah. And I mean...
Yeah, because all these kind of build on each other, so it kind of starts and it gets progressively worse. And then that's why it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, because it's like once you unlock all 4 of them,
boom, divorce.
Boom, apocalypse. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Pretty much.
Nailed it.
So yeah, basically, if you're doing contempt, I don't even know how to say that. If you are making contempt.
If you are performing
contempt on your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah, just stop. If you are performing contempt.
If you are serious about your relationship and your marriage lasting, you need to stop it.
You just need to stop. That is the best advice you could give.
I mean,
yeah,
and it's
then
all
you
free.
Just call it out. Yeah, you just call it out right then and there.
And it's all free on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, nice plug. Ooh, give me some. That was good.
All right, let's move in. Do you want to move into the next one?
Yeah, we can move into the next one.
Okay, basically contempt bad.
Yes. If you learned anything from this, that's what you learn. And you call it out on your partner as soon as they do it.
Contempt.
Yep. And then that's all you got to say. You don't even respond with anything else.
Like, Chase, can you warm my coffee up? Literally, babe, you're closer to the microwave, warming up. Contempt.
Yeah. That's a great example.
Thanks.
It's
not actually an example. Can we go into defensiveness?
Yeah, because I was going to start rambling about something else, but we better not. We better keep it moving.
All right, let's keep the rock and rolling.
Defensiveness. So, do you want to handle this definition, or have I been doing good enough to take on the next definition?
Well, okay, I'm going to be honest. Defensiveness, this is the hardest one that I have like a hard time thinking of examples for this one. I don't know why.
Oh, I got all the examples.
Okay,
girl.
well, what we have written down from our research, okay, and our prior knowledge on the subject is defensiveness can look like denying responsibility, making excuses, or counter-attacking your partner. So your partner brings something up, they try to set a boundary with you, and what do? You make an excuse for yourself.
Yeah, you don't take ownership.
You don't take ownership and
Extreme
responsibility.
ownership.
Accountability for your actions, and you flip it on your partner to make it seem like, but you do this, so that's why I do that. Yeah. It's kind of like switching the blame, right?
Like it's like secretly like you are the issue here, not
I'm
me.
the problem. It's me.
It's me.
Yes, first Taylor Swift.
Hey.
Oh, I also forgot to. I was gonna say this for contempt. Taylor Allison Swift once said, "Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't put me in a basement when I want the penthouse of your heart."
Whoa.
Thank you.
That's good.
She's a poet.
Yeah.
Anyways, she said contempt in one of her songs, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about defensiveness.
Yeah, and somehow Taylor Swift was number 3 on my Spotify artist. And I don't think that that's true at all. Not that and I don't know if, you know what?
Chase is a Swiftie in disguise.
Maybe I'm just a closet Swiftie. I don't know.
You are.
We do jam out to it typically in the car on every road trip. So, or if Trina's like kind of like bummed out or something in the car.
Anxious, just say
or
it. If I'm anxious.
Yeah, Trina gets very anxious in cars. Then my first move, I turn on that Taylor Swift on Spotify and I just start playing it. And next thing you know, Trina just starts like getting into it and she's singing and then she doesn't even think about it. So,
yeah.
Yep. So know your partner and know how to get them out of their anxious ways in the car. Okay.
All right. Defensiveness.
Back to it.
So back to defensiveness. What is a good example of this?
I would say like something along the lines like, let's say, for example, and we'll kind of dive more into this, but for me, like a part of my role in the household is like I manage our finances. So I handle like paying bills and all that good stuff, make sure all that's done. Defensiveness would be like if I let's say like I forgot to pay the electric bill this month and then, our lights are turned off and you get home and we have no lights. And then you are like, oh my gosh, or come at me.
Chase, why didn't you pay the light bill? That is literally, you always do that every month. Now our lights are off.
And then be like, oh yeah, well, sorry, I've been so busy. I've been working so many hours and I just so happened to just slip up on not paying the light bill one time, even though you've never paid it in our entire relationship.
Ooh.
That was good.
That was good.
Wow.
Hot fire flames.
We're good. We should take on like an acting gig. I feel like it's off the dome.
Better not.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, that would be like an example of defensiveness because I didn't take ownership for my actions of not paying light bill, even though that is my responsibility in the household. That is what I do. And then I also try to flip it on you and be like, you don't ever do anything. You don't ever help with this, that kind of thing. That would be a good example of defensiveness.
Or if you forgot to pay it, you could be like, well, if I would have paid it, but like you didn't do your part, like you didn't do the dishes or whatever. So then I had to do the dishes and then I forgot because then I had to cook dinner and blah, blah, blah. You're kind of like flipping the blame and placing the blame on your partner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in sort of the antidote to this, so to speak, that they talk about, and something that I think is just shows a really strong sign of emotional intelligence is you just own up when you forget and you make a mistake and you work to correct it. And I think that shows that you can always tell when someone is very emotionally intelligent just based on their ability to be self-aware about their own mistake and be vulnerable enough to own up to it and then work to correct it and get it done. And that's sort of the antidote to defensiveness. So instead of, if she brought that up to me in this scenario, and instead if I was like, you know what, like, you're absolutely right. Like, I can't believe that I forgot to do this. I'm so sorry. I will get that paid, tomorrow. I'll get this taken care of.
Yeah.
So just taking extreme ownership, like, I messed up. And I think that goes for anything, even outside of relationships.
And this is what I was talking about earlier with the number one thing that I think couples probably struggle with, being an expert on relationships. No, I'm just kidding. But
we've been studying this for 24 hours.
But seriously though, I think it's that vulnerability piece of being able to admit that you were wrong. You know, like, I made a mistake. And sometimes
difficult.
I don't know if anyone else does this, but I have an internal battle in my head sometimes. In my head, I'm like, I know that I'm wrong in this situation. I know that I should probably be like, just go in and apologize and just own up to it and be like, I was wrong. And then in my head, I'm like, no, I must win.
Yeah.
But like,
sometimes you just want to win the battle.
I know. And so seriously, like, I struggle with that so much in my head. It's like an ego thing. I feel like I'm right. I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I never come off like that. But I mean, it really does.
All the time.
I really do have like that inner dialogue in my head though sometimes. And in my head, I'm also telling myself, this is where people like get caught up, Katrina. Like, go in there and just tell him you're wrong. Just do it like Nike. And I can't do it sometimes. So then
like
sometimes
Nike, I love that.
Yeah, you just have to walk away. You got to do something else, distract yourself a little bit. And then once you're like, okay, I don't really care that much about being right anymore, then you can go in and be like, look, I'm sorry, that was dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's tough to do. It's tough to own up to when you make a mistake. But I think the other unique thing about sort of our relationship is that I think, we've seen a lot of like fights in our time growing up. And so you and I are very like, we really don't like.
We are passive.
Yeah, we are both very passive. Like,
we
do not like really like argue outright about things or whatever. And that's kind of where this next one comes up. Yeah, kind of a perfect segue there.
Okay, it rhymes with roan hauling.
Stonewalling.
I don't know.
That was good. Yeah,
I
like that. I like that reference.
It wasn't a reference. It was just a random comment.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, can I call it a reference though?
Yeah.
Okay, contempt. Stonewalling.
I hate when I laugh like that because I feel like if someone's listening to this, we're like, "Dang, Katrina, shut up."
Yeah, you hate your laugh, but I like your laugh.
Yeah. Side note: we were listening to our podcast back from last week, and I wanted to crawl under a rock because I was so embarrassed about my laugh.
Yeah, because you think your laugh is bad, but I think it's really cute.
Blech. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no.
Right.
I'm so sorry that I said that. Okay.
Can you please explain stonewalling?
Stonewalling. This is the men's special right here. So this is what we deal with all the time. And that is when you get so worked up because you've been arguing that eventually you just completely shut down. You avoid the conversation. You don't respond. And it's like the old adage, like, I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall, but in this case, it's a stone wall, and that would be stonewalling.
That was good.
You like that? That was good, huh?
Yeah, that was really good.
Good explanation. So, you just completely just stop. You don't want to talk about it. And as men, this is something that studies have shown that we are much more prone to do than women. And I can't remember like the exact explanation of it, but it actually has something to do like actually biologically with men and handling very stressful situations, like being in an argument with your spouse.
Like emotionally stressful?
Like almost like, like anything super emotionally overwhelming or stressful has more of a biological effect on us men. And that's why we tend to actually shut down more and actually avoid the conversation or leave. And like, even as I'm thinking about it through my head, like, I go back to instances where I totally feel like I've seen that happen like multiple times, or like just storming off or getting in the truck and peeling out, like you can always think of like those kind of references that men would typically do. Like, if you're in a heated argument,
Yeah, women too. I mean,
yeah,
but I get what your point about men. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the thing about stonewalling, and basically what they said would help with this is actually if you are in a heated argument or discussion, just taking time to take a break from each other, and even just having that as a part of the conversation, like instead of just, because what it can look like is literally like we are having mid conversation, and then like I literally just don't even acknowledge that you exist anymore right next to me. Like that's what stonewalling is. Like you're just like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, like I'm so done with this conversation and I don't want to address it anymore.
Right.
I'm shutting it down. Like I'm not communicating with you. I'm not even giving you any sort of facial expressions or validating that you're even talking to me anymore. That's what stonewalling can look like.
Yeah. And I was also about like taking a break. So like taking like a 20-minute break from each other, going to do something else that totally gets your mind off of it, and then returning to the conversation. I read on the Gottman Institute where you can get a bunch of different information if you want to learn more about Dr. John Gottman or any more of his research, is that taking a 20-minute break allowed for your heart rate to return to baseline, so that you're able to access individually, access your sense of humor and access to showing affection again. So that's I kind of read that and I was like, again, it's like these simple little things that can make a big difference. Like if you have enough vulnerability to just be like, look, babe, I need to walk away from this conversation and come back to it. That can really go a long way.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the most important part to it, is like you have to communicate about it or have some kind of, they talked about even having a signal for it, like whether that be like putting your hand up or like something like that like you both know is like a signal of like, I need some space about this. Because I think even for me too, like sometimes I'll get in a mood, and it's typically around grocery shopping.
Oh my goodness.
If you all want to know anything about me, like I hate grocery shopping with a passion, and I don't really know why. Like I should
likes it?
I should be more grateful. Like, oh, we can go grocery shopping, and we could put food on the table.
For sure.
But like for the longest time, like that was like an issue for me. Like I hated going grocery shopping, and we go grocery shopping every Sunday.
Chase would like anticipate me asking, and then it would probably turn into nagging. I'm gonna be honest, and I
would get mad.
Yeah.
Which is so funny, because like people are listening to this are like, are you serious? Like this is a discussion you have over grocery shopping? But like legit, like
it's a big issue for us.
It's but I learned though from it being an issue, and I actually started to become proactive about it. That's how I learned how to deal with it, even though it's not even a big deal and it literally takes 30 minutes out of your day.
But it makes a big difference in like our moods towards each other on Sundays.
Because sometimes you have like these little things that like you have to get done, but deep down inside I know like, oh, on Sunday, like I want to watch football, I want to sit on the couch and watch football all day, I want to relax, or whatever the case is, and then it's like, nope, we got to go grocery shopping, or we got to do this.
And Katrina's going to be manically cleaning the entire house.
Katrina is cleaning like crazy the entire house, and I love that you do that. Thank you for that. But then when she's like, we got to go grocery shopping, I'm like, oh my gosh, like not again this week. But for some reason, like, but if we didn't, then I'd be mad that we don't have food.
Right.
Which is like... it's so funny because we actually this week I feel like we didn't do a good job of grocery shopping, and we didn't really have a ton of food in the cabinets.
Yeah.
And you're kind of doing the double. I don't know if you do this to where like I'll look in the cabinet for something to eat. So this is something I appreciate about Trine a lot, and I wanted to talk about it because I'm super grateful that she's like this. Yeah, giving you a compliment on the podcast. Trine's very good at like, if we don't have things to make a meal, like you are very good at like for somehow coming up with something to make. And it's so impressive. Like we can have like a peach and bread and mayonnaise and like lettuce or something. And you're like, bam, cheeseburger. And I'm like, how did that even, like, how did you do that? Like, I don't even understand how that even works. But we kind of run out and I kind of do that thing. Like I look in the cabinet and then there's like nothing in there. And then like I look in the fridge. I'm like, yeah, nothing.
Better look in the cabinet.
But
again.
then I look in the cabinet again, like as if the cabinets went grocery shopping while I was looking in the fridge, and then there's still nothing there. But Trine is just, and then I just give up so easy. I'm just like, oh yeah, we can just go grab something real quick, no big deal. But
and I'm like, no.
Yeah, Trine's like, nah, I'll make something out of something, and it's super impressive. So I think that's your superpower.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Yeah.
But going off of, I wanted to say this because I read it on, I keep referring to the Gottman Institute because that's where we did a research. Okay.
Check it
it's
out.
just online. But I read this fun fact. I don't know what to call it. I can't think of the word right now. But statistic. Thank you. Thank you, my brain. Thank you to brain. Thank you
good job, brain.
Anyways, going back to like our Sunday discussion, like Chase would definitely just want to like relax and chill out on Sundays, watch football, maybe go get around and golfing, whatever. Very go with the flow. Love him for that. But that's just not me.
Yeah, we're both.
I like to send myself into a spiral on Sundays, and I like to wake up. I like to go get a workout in if I can. I like to get all the cleaning done, prep everything, go grocery shopping, and then relax, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on it, okay?
Trine has like a whole check, like she has to get this whole checklist down, and then she can relax.
Yeah, and so I realized that I need to be more flexible in that. And I think I have started to be. But anyways, that is a personality difference, right? That's kind of a personality. It's a preference difference. Mm-hmm. It's whatever. So what I read online was most relationship problems. I'm literally reading from my notes so I don't get it wrong. Most relationship problems, parentheses, 69%.
Thank you for the parentheses. We needed to know that.
Never get resolved, but are perpetual problems that are based on personality differences between partners.
We're doomed. We're done.
That's just really interesting to me because I'm like, most of our arguments are perpetual, right? It's the same. It's like the same idea that we just can't agree on because we just have a difference of personality or a different of preference on what have you. You know,
on like different needs and stuff like that.
On different, right? We're different people. We have different needs.
Yep.
So whereas Chase would want to like go out, he would want to have like 5 social gatherings on the weekend. He'd be happy with that. And that's like, no.
I'm a social butterfly.
And that's like, no, like that's not a bad thing, right?
Well, actually, it's kind of, so can I elaborate on my social needs?
For sure.
Because I'm not like a go to like the bar or something kind of person. Like I hate that. So like that kind of social stuff I don't like, which is another difference in our personality. But I'm more of like a group of like close knit group of friends. We hang out, we go do an activity or, whatever the case may have you. And we can actually have conversation. And that's my kind of social need. And yours is a little bit different. But you can talk more about your preferences.
Yeah. So my preference, on the weekends, I prefer to have like alone time, and doing things that like to myself, which I like. I also love hanging out with people too. And I always have a great time doing it. Sometimes I feel like there needs to be another day in the weekend, because if I don't have that like reflecting, recharging aloneness, I don't feel recharged going into the next week. It's a little bit of a personality preference thing, but also it's just our situation because Chase works from home. He doesn't have that. He doesn't get his social needs met throughout the week.
Right.
Whereas I work in a building with 600 people and I'm constantly overwhelmed with social interactions.
Right.
So it's kind of just like where we are right now. Yeah, we're
so
just.
I'm like, get me around people, and
And
Train's
I'm
like, I'm done with people.
I'm absolutely not.
Yeah. But
So it's just.
Train's also kind of interesting because you like, you know, we just have to get you there and then you're good. But it's like getting you there can be the challenge or whatever.
Oh,
Because
for
like
sure.
at first you're like, I don't really want to go do that. Like I'm not that excited about it. I don't really want to go do this. And then like we get there and then you're just on another level.
Yeah, I'm definitely extroverted once I get around people, but I also have like alone time needs, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's kind of like just talking on like the personality difference that create these like perpetual kinds of problems or conversations that you seem to be having over and over and over again. You might
I didn't
just
even think about that. Yeah.
you might just be a little bit different, right? And you're different people, right? You have individual needs,
Mm-hmm.
preferences, dislikes, likes, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
You
And I
just
think
have to figure out the balance there.
Yeah, and I think, and even as I'm thinking back through some of those conversations that we have perpetually, I think like understanding like what your needs are and what my needs are, and you know, kind of finding a way to work through so we can both kind of get what we want, is something that we can definitely work on for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And like us saying all this again, we do not have this figured out. I don't think anybody ever really has it figured out.
No.
It's just something to be intentional about recognizing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I love talking about this kind of stuff because I'm a deep conversation person.
Yeah, I do too. And it's just interesting to learn about. And, you know, maybe next time, you know, if you're in a heated conversation of sorts, and then you can kind of recognize like, wow, like, you know, this is contempt, or, you know, I'm trying to insult my partner. And maybe you just might take that extra step of like recognizing that.
Yeah, walking away so you can like calm down before you say something that you don't mean and you know that's going to be harmful, especially if it happens repeatedly over time.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, for us men, we probably just going to walk away and drop the whole conversation and try to avoid
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Goodbye.
Are we son? Oh.
You know, like the Kardashians, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That means goodbye.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, I didn't know that at all. I didn't know I thought you made that up.
No,
I was about to be
not
super
that
impressed.
creative. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, that is the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And
A term
I found
coined
it
by Dr. John Gottman.
for the 100th time.
I just kind of like saying that. Sounds cool.
It's a cool
term
name.
coined by Dr. John Gottman.
Yeah, that was really good. That was is that your radio voice?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Chase.
Oh, okay. And we're done.
Okay, maybe not the radio voice this time around. Do you want to play our little game that we thought about at first, or should we? What do you think?
I feel like it's kind of long.
Okay, so yeah, we're kind of we are so excited. We're gonna go hang out with some friends today, so we're really excited for that.
Well, Chase is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I actually am really excited for this. We're going. There's something in Kansas City called. Wait, is it called the 12 Bars of Charity?
Yeah.
So basically everybody buys sweatshirts, and the color of the sweatshirt determines like what organization some of that profit goes to. Mm-hmm. And so then you get into just different bars around Kansas City and just get to hang out. There's some drink specials, and it's like kind of for a good cause too. So
yeah.
So
it'd be a lot of fun.
I am excited to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to what we were just discussing about the social things, I'm very excited because I have 3 days left until Christmas break.
Hey.
So I kind of have that in the back of my head. Like I can get through 3 days this week, right?
Yeah, you can get through it for sure.
So I can withstand the amount of social interactions that we're about to have today.
Yes, we're going to have a lot. And I'm excited because get to see old friend. He's back from the military. So excited to be able to see him and hang out with them. And I think we should end off with my favorite story of his. And I know you've heard this one before, but like I just feel like the world needs to know this story.
I don't know what story you're talking about.
Oh yeah, you'll know it. Okay, so basically we've been friends growing up. Like we share siblings, and everything else. So we've always been, best friends since the beginning of time. And we're the same age and everything. So we were probably like 12 or 13 maybe at the time. And the way like his house was set up, so you had his house, you had one house right next to his, and then the street, and then the pool was on the other side of the street. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know what story this is now.
Yeah. Well, don't ruin it.
I'm not ruining it.
And
I'm hyping
so
you up.
yeah, we're hanging out and stuff, and we're probably 12 or 13. We walk out to the backyard, and he's like, he says the magical words that no 12-year-old boy can ever resist, and it starts with, "I bet you won't do this." And you cannot ever say those words because we're probably going to do it. So he was like, "See that ball over there in the neighbor's yard, just right over there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I see that." And he was like, "I bet you won't kick that to the swimming pool."
And Chase is like, "I bet I
Yeah.
will."
Oh, is that a challenge? Like, are you serious? Did you know I'm 12 and you can't even say that because you know I'm going to follow through with it? And so I took off running as fast as I could. So you kind of have his backyard. There's quite a bit of room here to run, it's like in this, and I'm running as fast as I possibly can run. And then I just pull my leg back and I'm about to just lay everything into this
I'm just
kick.
picturing it in slow motion.
yeah, pictures. And I'm about to just lay everything into this kick, and I come back and I come through, and the ball goes absolutely nowhere, and I go flat on my face. And do you want to know why? Because it wasn't a kickball. In fact, it was a 15-pound bowling ball that was in the neighbor's yard, and I just try to punt it as far as I absolutely can. And so, like, I'm on the ground. I think my foot's broken. I'm just looking back, and he's just laughing, like, on the ground in his yard. Yeah, it's one of my foot actually ended up being okay. I don't know how it didn't break, but it was so hilarious. Yeah.
Just kidding.
I laid into it everything that I had. I swear, like, it didn't move hardly at all.
That was definitely contempt.
Yeah, that's an example of contempt. So don't do that to your friends. But but no. But yeah, it's just a funny story that I think about every single time I think about him. But so no, we're excited to hang out with some friends. And then let's talk a little bit about the next episode that's coming out.
Okay.
So again, every single Saturday we rock that same routine. We get in here, we get that pod going, and next week we are going to be talking about another hefty topic, which is going to be involving finances. So stay tuned for that one.
It's actually probably my most I don't know, like the topic that I'm most uncomfortable with, because I don't know as much about it. Like when it comes to relationships, fitness, mental health, like I feel like I got this.
Yeah.
But when it comes to finances, I'm like, I ain't got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree 100%. So
but
we'll
again,
see.
This is just about us learning.
Yeah, we're
together.
learning and discussing it and tackling the biggest topics that we can think about. And also
next, it's going to be religion and politics.
Yeah, no,
just kidding.
We're going to avoid that 100%.
We're going to avoid that.
But yeah, so and I know we said this before, but again, we rotate week after week, and then once we're done with that, we'll go back to health, and then we'll discuss relationships, and then finance back again. So that way, we don't run out of things to eventually talk about, and also kind of keep things fresh and interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think all three of those components are what lead to a great and healthy relationship with your spouse.
And just like a balanced life.
Yeah, just a balanced life approach. So that's why we are talking about it, because we're pursuing right now.
We are pursuing now.
Yeah. So again, before we hop off here, thank you guys for staying in and listening to the show. We hope you got some value from it. If you did, please share it with a friend. Spread the word. And we appreciate and really love the support. If you could go follow us on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, and we don't have a YouTube yet. I know we talked about having a YouTube. I'm working on it. There's kind of a little bit more steps, and I tried to upload our last one, and it was an hour and 12 minutes long, and it was like not like I didn't even get to 1% of uploading it, and we were sitting there waiting on it, and I was like, I don't even know if we can upload anything to YouTube. But it's also tough to make things visually stimulating, so we're kind of working on that.
So right now, I mean, I think we're really just kind of focusing on pulling clips to post on TikTok
and Instagram.
Oh yeah, and Instagram. We just started that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're just gonna go from there. I'm still kind of like I feel like one day I'm like super confident about the podcast, and I'm like, this is freaking awesome, and I'm like having so much fun, and then the next day I'm like, I am the most embarrassing human being on this planet. Why am I posting this to social media? Ew. Red flag. Gives me the ick, if you will. Okay. So, by the way, Chase told me that I gave him the ick because I woke up this morning and my sweatpants
looked that like, is your ick.
No, you told me that. You told me that you give me the ick right now because my sweatpants looked like pantaloons. They were up to my knees. You know, like the sweatpants has a scrunchie at the bottom.
That is not what I said. I said I was making, because you say that I give you the ick when my sweatpants, or like the crack of the sweatpants isn't
when
lined
they're not
up,
like lined
up with where my butt crack actually is, and that gives you the ick. And so I was judging you because your sweatpants. Contempt though, that's all contempt, and
it's all jokes, my dude.
Yeah, I know. But anyways,
maybe we should do that on a future episode. What gives us the ick?
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
If you don't know what the ick is, it's like things that are like so ridiculous and stupid, but are like red flags or like turn-offs. Like, but they're like exaggerated, you know, like that gives me the ick, like you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, discuss with your partner what gives you the ick, because that would be great. And that would be the one thing you can take that's your homework from after the show. And make sure to catch up with us on the next episode. And also don't forget to do the 3 steps for White Mocha Team for life.
Okay.
And then Trina's going to come up with her team. But yeah, we appreciate you all, and stick around for the next one.
All right. See you around, y'all.
Bye.